Hello, welcome to Soul Garden Podcast brought to you by Soulflower LLC. This is our Other Sheep series, episode 5. Welcome. We're going to talk about a little bit more about self mastery learning. Uh, so just stay tuned. First, let's go through our disclaimers. I'm not going to be with you long because we discussed this last week, and I just kind of wanted to add on to what I had to say last week. Let's go through our disclaimers. We're not trying to be formal. This is not a religious or spiritual podcast. This is a soul consciousness podcast. That means it's inclusive for everyone. Any soul is can listen to this. Um, if they want to. The future subjects are for awareness, for information and personal growth purposes. Soulflower LLC, we are certified in the fields that we provide services for. Yet we are lifelong seekers of and students of life. This podcast is decide for you to decide who you are in a lot of the information provided for you in this podcast. This is not a podcast for children under the age of 18. Parents adjust accordingly. We've just done our part. This is our sacred service. So take what resonates and leave the rest for someone else, okay? Thank you. For those who disagree with the material, you have that right. Just please give everyone else the opportunity to listen to the podcast. Uh, there are billions of people on this planet, so there are other people that have other opinions outside of you, and we ask that you respect that. That's all. Lastly, we don't reach out to you for services outside of our, with our own our own marketing intentions. So we don't reach out to you on WhatsApp. None of that. You have to come to us if you want a service. We just make sure that we have all our contact information for you so that you can get in contact with us for our services. And that's on that. So it is. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Um, we would be honored if you did. And it gives us, um, it encourages us to continue with providing these conversations so that we can raise the awareness of these great tools that we have to offer, and not just us. These are tools that we have discovered. You know, in our conversation, we'll talk about these tools. Um, it's just once you commit to them in a consistent way, they benefit you way more than actually you can ever use the skills themselves. So, I mean, it's profound. But let's move forward. Let's move on. Let's talk about the exciting topic of the benefits of mastery learning for personal self-development. This is a continuation of a conversation that we had last week. I was going to move on, but I was feeling led to continue this conversation. I didn't feel, well, actually, this is a conversation that you can always really just talk about endlessly because there are so many different ways of talking about it. Um, but here's what has worked for us, and here's how we will work with you if you decide to reach out to us for services as well. Um, you know, I like the podcast because it gives you an opportunity to kind of find out who we are and the things that we discover for ourselves on our own journey. So um, I look forward to speaking with you concerning your path and how these things may have benefited you. You may have discovered some of these modes of learning that we'll cover in the podcast or not. Just if you want to continue this conversation, please um, reach out to us. We have an email. It is soulflowerinc@gmail.com. I will leave it in the comments or somewhere with this podcast, and just let us know about maybe you may even be able to offer some tools or offer some ideas of some things that you would like to see, what you would like to hear about in this podcast. So moving forward, so there's so many benefits of mastery learning, which the traditional term, the the traditional term is called inner work. Again, I wanted me personally, I wanted a phrase that was it flowed better, something that didn't have such a negative connotation, or I had a lot of resistance around the term inner work personally. So I wanted to shift that energy and more of a flow state. And mastery learning does that for me. So hopefully it can do that for you too. But as I was thinking about this again, um, I came up with and how it fitted me. These three. I picked up. Let's say I thought about when I contemplated on this. Can't talk tonight. But when I contemplated on this, it was three major things that came up for me. And the first one is we make peace with our past. Everyone has a past. Everyone, once you once you get a certain age of awareness, uh, we tend to do things while we're discovering ourselves that we quote unquote regret. And those things are what we tend to refer to as our past. Also, just all the shit that we didn't like, we just kind of pack it in that closet. So, uh, in the context of that, mastery learning has helped me and to make peace with my past. Um, I'm what a lot of people would call an empath. So I feel deeply, and shit affects me. So making peace with my past was very important because it's one thing to make what we call a mistake, and there's another thing to struggle with guilt and shame surrounding those mistakes. It's just like a layered shit pie, so to speak. So that has, and with the past, that includes for me things that were beyond my control, like aspects of my childhood. That shit was You know, it had its highlights, but it had its it had hell points. So there's that on that. Excuse my rabbits. They've been quiet the entire time I was preparing for this podcast, but yet here and now, that I don't know. I guess they're trying to do a little feng shui like their mom was earlier today. But that is, we make peace with the past. That's essentially what mastery learning has done for me, is doing for me, and will continue to do for me. Because again, we are lifelong learners. I am personally a lifelong learner. I will always be learning until I transition out of here to learn somewhere else. So that's that on that. Making peace with the past. I watched a great movie um earlier. I think it was last night. You know how you just kind of looking for something to watch. I had a challenging day Friday. It was Friday night. I had a challenging day, and I just wanted to look at something that would inspire me. I wanted to get first. I wanted to get away from electronics because I deal with electronics a lot with work, and I work long hours. So once I'm at home, I really just want to chill. Um, but Fridays I'm usually Fridays is different. But at any rate, I watched the movie If. My wife, she started watching it, but she fell asleep. I've been wanting to watch it, but I had kept putting it out because again, electronics and I are not the best of friends after dealing with electronics all day. Looking at screens all day is exhausting. So, anyway, I ended up watching it. My wife ended up falling asleep on it, and it was absolutely amazing for me. I loved it. I love things that inspire me, because those are the things that keep us going. Um, it inspired me so much. I wanted to include one of the things that I heard in the movie. One of the characters say, and it reminded me of this conversation that we're having in the podcast about Anywhere. And it states that the greatest story that we will ever hear is the story that we tell ourselves, and it's very true, very very true that I have found for me in my experience. Um, you really do have to take into account what you are thinking, what you are feeling, and how you are behaving in your environment. And you really, 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 what I've learned from me, I really, 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 let me take that off of y'all. I really, really, really have to assess my environment, um, in light of telling myself the truth about what is in that environment. So, great. This is a great quote, and it really, really encompasses the essence of mastery learning, i.e., inner work, for me, because it is really about getting rid of the shit that we've been telling ourselves that we're unaware of. We're unaware of some shit, and then we're unaware of the shit that's shitty that we're telling ourselves. And then, but we are aware of the shit that we tell ourselves that makes us feel like shit, but we believe we deserve it. So it's all of inner work, i.e., mastery learning, clears up all of that for you. For me, it has. So that's been one of the greatest things it's done for me. Let me move on to number 2. Um, so another point I wanted to point out, something that I wrote down here, um, which was a lesson for the first benefit for mastery learning, which was make peace in the past. And this lesson, this life lesson for me was we must be brave enough to tell ourselves another story. The only one, the only story that is, that we truly believe is the one that we tell ourselves. And that is the truth. When you get to a certain point with mastery learning and self discovery, you will, we discover, I'll say that. I have discovered that that is true. And it brings you so much clarity and peace once you see that and accept it for you. You know, well, for me, once I saw that and I accepted it for me, forgive my um, lack of, I have a lack of word choice there, but forgive me for saying you instead of I. That's what I mean. I'm moving on. Number 2, we seek to see things in a new light. That's how the mastery learning, that's the function of it. That is, and we'll get into it as we get more into mastery learning and different aspects of it. Uh, you'll see how this one plays out. Um, Especially with a lot of the tools. A lot of the tools, the purpose and function of them is to assist you in seeing things in a new light. Once we see things in a new light, then we can grow from what we've been through and we can move on. But until we tell ourselves a new story, we're not going to see shit in a new light. Let's see what I wrote down. Oh, yeah. Life, I've learned, is about cycles. And I had a mentor when I was in the church that said, we are always at the beginning, the middle, or the end of a cycle. He said crisis, but I say cycle because I don't believe that. Well, I know that things are not in duality. By duality, I mean things are not bad or good. It's everything together. It's bad and good. So we go through cycles in our life. Life is about cycles, and discovering how we react and respond to those cycles, then teaching ourselves better ways of coping with those cycles brings the peace that it's brought the peace that I've always sought my entire life. I've spent my entire life full of anxiety, always in seeking clarity for something. I tend to stay confused consistently in my past. And the only thing that really brought me the most clarity has been learning things for myself. You know, I've tried to do things the way that I was instructed by many mentors, uh, many people that have inspired me, teachers and my parents and my peers, um, just what I call angels that have came throughout my life, friends, that have inspired me. All of that. I lost my train of thought there, but hopefully you got the gist of what I was talking about there. Oh, the peace that I was talking about the peace that seeing things in a new light has brought me. So, it has also taught me to this by seeing things in a new light. It's taught me to embrace opportunities that change brings, because the only constant is change. We have to learn how to deal with change, because it's coming. There's no way around it. The only way is through. It's true. We we don't like it. I don't like it. It's true. Truth isn't about necessarily what we like or what we don't like. It just is what it is in a lot of circumstances, and we have to find ways to accept that. And the best way to accept that for me has been seeking to find things and to perceive things in a new light. How we do that is by, well, how I have done it is by training my mind to accept the thoughts, the feelings, and the behaviors that have brought me the most peace. And I learned to do that through mastery learning, through trial and error. And there was a lot of error, a lot of it. So, uh, Inner teaches you to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you know you try a new mastery tool, it might work out for you, it might not. It just depending on your intentions of what you're trying to heal, or what you're trying to make peace with, whatever you're doing, whatever expansion that you're trying to achieve as far as personal self development. You know, all of that depends on you. So, um, in order to really, I'm listening. I'm trying to find the words. I was talking about embracing opportunities and talking about change. We need our mind to help us to embrace change. Um, because our mind is very, very important when it comes to mastery learning, just like our heart is, and our behaviors are. So, um, all of those things have to be trained, and it takes practice, and it takes a lot of practice. I'm not going to lie to you. That's why we're offering our sacred service to help, because this shit can get overwhelming, but it's doable. It's doable because we're worth it. We're worth the effort. We're worth the energy. We're worth it all. Last but not least is authenticity. Um, the mastery learning, it really, really helps us to become comfortable in our own skin. You making peace with shit, making peace with your past, making peace with people, places, and things will bring you a level of confidence that you didn't even know existed. This is what Mastery Learning has done for me. Um, and I love it here. I haven't been the type of person to follow crowds anyway. I tend to identify as what we call the other sheep, and as and because I love me now, Mastery Learning taught me how to love me. Um, I now can teach you how to love you if you're willing and if you're ready to do so. But we'll get more into how all of these can come into play when it comes to mastery learning as we learn more about some of the tools that we as Soulflower have come across that have not only helped us but helped a lot of people around us. So uh, that's that on that. Let me see what I wrote down. I know I'm a little random, but you know that's what you sign up for when you come to a podcast like this. The shit might be out, might be a little bit all over the place, all over the place. You know, I don't know what to tell you, but keep listening and pick out what you need. It might be like this shit might be like here in Tennessee we have these stores like they have these bins where these Amazon packages that people haven't claimed they sell the shit. It's a capitalist society. They always selling shit. They sell, well, they do sell air. My bad. They do sell oxygen out there. But anyway, the analogy I'm making is the you might have to glean a little bit more from this shit than other podcasts. That's all I'm saying. At any rate, authenticity is where I'm at. Oh, I was looking at what I was writing down here. Uh, oh yeah, authenticity. I was thinking about what that meant for me in the context of what I was going to talk about in this podcast, and it's giving myself permission to be who I really am and not who others told me I was. It's, that's huge for my ass, because I just be wanting to chill. A lot of things are not that serious for me. Um, and I've learned how to make peace with that. But also, in addition to that, I had to make peace with the fact that there's a lot of people that disagree with the fact that I don't think a lot of shit is serious. I had to learn to be okay with that. That they had the right to feel that way, and I have the right to fucking feel the way that I feel. I'm continuing to feel that way. So now we both still living and breathing and still got the same chain in our pockets that we had before we even were aware of that. So there's that on that. That and I want to add to that, but I'm trying to connect it with my notes here. When I've learned for being that when people have an issue with something that you can't help that or that is natural for you, it's a projection of their own shit. And that was a hard lesson for me. A hard lesson for me. We'll talk about that later. Because it is time for me to bring this up to remind you the bit of the benefits that we talked about last week. And well, here's some tips. I got the wrong damn title on this. Two things that must be identified when it comes to master learning. And then energy and patterns. I already remember that. If you don't remember anything else about mastery learning, remember that if you can tap into the energy of a thing or the pattern of a thing, you are in the meat of it, the thick of it. Soul cultivation tools are vital. Integrity, willingness, uh, being able to identify resistance, knowing what that is, knowing when to be vulnerable, all that shit. If you spot it, you got it. That will help you immensely. But it takes time. That one takes practice. That one takes practice. We'll talk about that one later. And self love, the best love. That's a great tip. We'll get into that more. Everything begins with the self. We'll most definitely get into that more because that is one of the core things for mastery learning. In other words, inner work too. All right. We have come to the end of our discussion, and it is now time for us to do our mastery card pool and our energy report. All right, so today we pulled Rescuing Myself. And this card says, today I will not wait for someone to come to my aid. Goes along with what we talked about. I am not helpless. Although help may come, I'm my own rescuer. And this is the shit right here. My relationships will dramatically improve when I stop rescuing others and stop expecting others to rescue me. I earned that lesson right there, man. I earned it. That's a good one. That's something for you to reflect on as well. If you need to rewind, do what you need to do to get that. But there is something great to reflect on in the upcoming week. Especially since, and this ties into, now we're moving into the energy report, that we have a new moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is all about transformation. This new moon is, from what I'm hearing, is about setting your intentions about who you want to be. It's the last hurrah for the past. You were making your resolutions with the past, and you setting your intentions, doing something that is a step, some type of action, like real action towards the new year, and what that means for you, whatever that means for you, the new behavior, whatever. I have found in my experience that waiting to the New Year's is ridiculous. You can change right now, because change is just a thought, a decision, really, and then sticking to it, no matter what. Had to get a little water, y'all. Had to get a little water. All right. Thank y'all for listening to our podcast. Again, this is Soulflower LLC. Our website is soulflowerllc.com. We do new episodes on this podcast every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we would love to hear from you. We have an email that you can contact us. It is Soulflower, spelled just like Soulflower is on the screen. And then N as in Nicole, C as in Carrie at gmail.com. And I'll put that in the description box below if I can find it. If not, it's gonna be in the comment section, but you'll get it. All right, y'all. Thank y'all, and that's the end. Until next Sunday, love, light, and unity.